meeting to order and ask for the roll call.
Councilmember Abdelgawad?
Here.
Councilmember Barber?
Present.
Councilmember Berenson?
Present.
Councilmember Burke?
Present.
Councilmember Circo absent. Councilmember Holman?
Present.
Councilmember Jacobson?
Present.
Councilmember Townsend?
Present.
Mayor Turnbow?
Present. We have a quorum. Would you please rise and join me in a pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. And next we have presentations and awards. I do have a proclamation tonight for recognition of Arbor Day. I'll step down to the podium as we gain control of our meetings. Oh boy, I left my glasses up there, but I think I might be able to read it. That's okay. Looks like it's big enough print. Oh, come on over here. How are you tonight, Nathan?
I'm just fine, sir.
Thank you for being here. And this proclamation says, whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska and is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products, and increase property values, especially lately, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. Now therefore, I, Christopher P. Turnbull, Mayor of the City of Raymore, do hereby proclaim May 24th, 2021 as Arbor Day in the City of Raymore, and do encourage all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day by planting a tree in support of efforts to protect our trees and woodlands for future generations. And witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Raymore to be affixed this 24th day of May 2021. Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Did you want to say anything? I know we have a very robust tree program here in town. Our own arborist, Mr. Rulo, who is kind of the self-proclaimed arborist, or has he gotten his certifications?
Well, I don't want to brag, but I'm more of an arborist than
you. Oh, are you? Okay.
But I make him do all the work.
Oh, okay. All right. You want to say anything?
Yeah, this is one of the requirements for Tree City USA, and because of this, we will apply for our 9th year as being a Tree City USA this year. So,
excellent.
We appreciate you guys doing this.
Thank you, sir. We have no personal appearances tonight, so we'll move on to staff reports. Mr. Fearborn.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would ask Mr. Kraft to make a staff report for Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Fearborn. Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Just want to, in addition to the written report, I want to update you on the curb program. If the weather will ever cooperate, we do anticipate work starting in about 2 weeks. As we get a little closer and get a better schedule from the contractor, we'll be putting things out in social media and hanging door hangers in the work zones that we are going to be working in. That does conclude my staff report.
Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Krass? Thank you, sir. Mr. Fearborn.
Thank you, Mr. Kraft. I would ask Mr. Mustine to make a report for Parks and Recreation.
Thank you, sir. Mayor, members of the council, I have submitted a written staff report. I do want to highlight a few things. First of all, I want to highlight one of my staff members, Todd Brennan. I put this in my staff report, but we're just extremely proud of Todd. He's done a lot since he's come here. This was his first full-time job in Parks and Recreation. He's made a lot of changes. He's done a lot of good for our programs. He's risen to the leadership role within our South Metro group that share games and stuff. And I put a little graph in there. We did a kind of a question or a poll on the numbers with the South Metro group. And as you can see on that, he's kind of killing it in terms of participation numbers against our other sister cities and those we share with. So he's just doing a fantastic job. We're really proud of him, and I just wanted to let you guys know what a great job that he's doing with our sports programs. We do have a lot going on this week, Wednesday especially. I know you all have been invited, but we are doing our ribbon cutting and grand opening of TB Hanna. If you have not driven by there, last week we did a soft opening in which we basically fired up the equipment and just turned it on. It is busy and nonstop. People are out there playing in that spray ground. So we know that that was a home run project, and it's going to be extremely popular. So we hope that you all can come out on Wednesday and celebrate with us on that. Next week, we have June 1st is our summer camp starting up. Finally, something exciting and good in terms of programming. We get to do that. Last year we did a camp, but it was kind of modified. This year it's all out, and we already have over 110 kids registered. Right now we're averaging there's over 50, 55 per week, so you can register and then pick the weeks you want to go. So right now we got about 55 a week. We're doing in-house field trips. We're still not doing busing out, but we're doing a lot of unique things, and I think the counselors and the campers are going to have a great time. Farmers Market also starts first Tuesday of June. We've got a lot of vendors lined up. Music, we're going to utilize outside, the new patio area outside. So it's going to be a busy summer. We got tons of events and things going on. We're really excited. And that concludes staff report. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Mustine, good report as usual. I wanted to ask I think we got any official word on the status of our all-inclusive playground at Hawk Ridge Park. We were roughly around about 150,000 short of goal of what your estimate was to build that.
Yes.
As designed. Any news on fundraising efforts, if we're still that same amount, what we're looking at doing right now?
Excellent question. Right now, we received an email the other day from Land Water Conservation, and once again, they told us don't say anything until you get the signed paper. They didn't say that we don't get it. They just said you can't announce it, and so that means that it's just a matter of them letting us say that we received that grant. So technically, I didn't say that tonight. The numbers in terms of fundraising were where we were. We did another cost estimate, and as you know, construction costs continue to rise, so we're building that into our fundraising, make sure that we cover that. Melissa, Communications Department, my staff, and Unlimited Play, we have several events that are scheduled for this summer for fundraising. We meet weekly. It's really a matter of waiting for us to be able to announce that grant, and then that kind of kicks off our last push for fundraising. But the timeline is still the same in that we are looking to bid this project out this fall. So it puts some pressure on us to get it done, but that's what we're pushing for.
That's great news, and so we're approaching the finish line. It's in sight, and I think you told us before that if we actually raised more money than we needed for your estimate of this, we can certainly add on to that design as is, and really add some other nice improvements if we had other donors, say here in the local community.
Yes,
correct?
sir. Yes,
okay,
sir.
Great.
We can always add in terms of landscaping, additional equipment. I mean, the farther out you go, the more it's going to cost, but we can definitely dress it up with landscaping and things like that. And we laid it out that we can expand it over the years and just continuing to add to it the way we've set it up.
That's great. I know you did the water park the same way. We can add features there as well. And are you still planning to do like a sign there for the donors at Hawk Ridge, the different financial participants, so that they can get their name up? And
yes, sir.
That's great news. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Mr. Barber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mustine, I wanted to compliment you and your staff. You certainly had a robust staff report. Enjoyed reading it. It's got a lot going on, as you know. It's your time of year, right? So, but I did want to pass something on to you. Raymore resident of over 30 years, raised his children here, and now has a grandchild. Fortunately, his son and grandson they're local, but they're not Raymore residents. But they got to go fishing this last weekend at Hawk Ridge Park.
Yes.
And to say they were blown away would be an understatement. They were certainly, this young man graduated from Ray Peck High School and was raised here, but to come back and see that park and see what's going on there, and they also enjoy the splash park as well. And I got to tell them Hawkridge is not finished. So just kind of dovetail on what Mr. Holman said. So there's more to come. So, but I'll just pass that on. They were very impressed and good job. Thank you.
Thank you. I will pass that on.
Anyone else? All right, thank you, Nathan.
Thank you.
Mr. Fearborn.
Thank you, Ms. Mustine. I would ask Ms. Harmer to make a report for communications.
Thank you, Mr. Fearborn. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I wanted to start with showing you this Missouri Tourism Guide, and I really like page 45. I put a full page ad for Raymore listing all of our summer events and a little bit about us that make us sound really awesome, just like the city is. And I know that Raymore might not be a vacation destination, but certainly people could pass nearby and see all of the free concerts and community events that we have going on, so maybe stop by. But I just wanted to start with that. It is distributed to their subscribers and at multiple points of interest and restaurants around mid-Missouri, so it has a 10,000 plus reach. And then also we have, I want to say thanks for, thank you, Councilman Jacobson, for coming to the ribbon cutting for the new art piece at Hawkridge Park last week, 2 weeks ago. Time is flying. I don't remember. But anyway, it was a really great turnout for a middle of the morning weekday. So it was really great to see a lot of people there. And we are, the Arts Commission, I always say we because I feel very connected to everything that the commission does. But the Arts Commission is putting out a 2021 event passport. This is just a big proof book, but it'll be a little 4x5 booklet, 16 pages. It lists every event that the commission is holding through the rest of the year, where the event is held, day, time, everything. And then there are a couple crossover events with parks, and also there are a couple ways that residents or event passport holders can get digital stamps. So the goal is that they have all of the calendar for the rest of the year with them all the time. Bring the passport to the events, and they'll get a physical stamp on the page, and then at the end of the year we'll collect the passports, and the ones with the most stamps will draw for prizes. The Arts Commission will draw for prizes. So this actually, Pat Setzer, one of our commissioners, was talking about the Missouri Bicentennial Passport, and so we kind of based this off of that, and I think that it's a really great way to help everybody know what the Arts Commission is doing and also other events in the city. So they'll be passing these out starting June 1st at the Farmers Market opening day, and then they'll be available at City Hall and at any Arts Commission event through the rest of the year. And the review, I was hoping we would have it by Friday, by last Friday, still isn't here, so it should be in mailboxes any day, and that is going to be, it's 40 pages this time, so it's really big. Parks went crazy with all of their events, of course. So there's a lot packed into it. So hopefully it's in mailboxes in the next couple days. That concludes my report.
Excellent. Thank you. Any questions? Thanks, Melissa. Mr. Fearborn.
Thank you, Ms. Harmer. I would ask Ms. Chardu to make a report on the comprehensive plan.
Thank you, Mr. Fearborn. Council members, another couple of plans are nearing the initial review mark. We are wrapping up with the annexation study that we engaged Bushy Head Consulting with. And then all of this kind of puts us in a good position as we start to structure and format them all to be cohesive and work together for continuity. So I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chardu. I have a number of items to discuss with the council this evening. Mainly of a calendar nature, since we've got some moving parts here. So next Monday, May 31st, council and staff get a night off for Memorial Day, so there will be no work session. It will be on the holiday. The June meetings, because of the shift required on the fourth Monday to conduct interviews for the vacancy in Ward 1 seat, it changes some of the other meetings as well, and I've discussed these changes with the mayor. Just wanted to outline them for the council so you've got the month in advance. June 7th will be your regular work session date. June 14th will be your regular meeting date, business meeting date. June 21st, the following Monday night, would have normally been a work session, but in order to keep the business of the council and the business of the people moving forward, the mayor would like to have that work session replaced with we only had one item on for that night, and I'll get to that next. Would like for that work session to be changed out with a special meeting to conduct regular business twice in the month and get what was done on June 14th swept off the table. June 22nd, the Tuesday following that night, is being scheduled for the council had requested a tour of 3 projects here in the city, and that tour will begin at 5:30 at Compass Health, and then we'll have a transportation available for the council, then move to the lofts, and finally to Building 1 down at Van Trust. And we understand that the sale of that building to a prospective new owner for the entire property and Building 1 is imminent at this point, like days away. And then June 28th, of course, would be the special meeting to conduct interviews for the vacant Ward 1 council seat. Just wanted to kind of update you on those 4 Mondays in June. Third item I have for the council tonight, and you hear me do this a lot, or we do emails a lot because of the quality of the people that we have. The governor's office will be announcing on June 1st that they are naming our own Chief Zimmerman to the Missouri State Gaming Commission. The governor's office asked for someone who was reserved and quiet. Chief's name was the first one that I'm sure came to their minds. The chief indicates that when they first contacted her, she thought that the Gaming Commission had something to do with hunting in Missouri, so it should be an interesting learning curve for her. But congratulations to the chief on that appointment. Last but not least, I had indicated to the council last Monday night that if you all have any questions you would like added for the candidates to discuss or fill out for you all, it occurred to me during the week that they are council interviews. So if you have any questions that you would like extended to the candidates, also it would be helpful to know, do you want them to actually be on the form that we give to them to fill out ahead of time, or do you want them to be on a formalized list of questions that you would ask the candidates that evening? It's the council's choice or the council member's choice who presents those. So we kind of stand ready. I'm actually not going to write them down. We're going to take advantage of the tape if you have any of those, and then we'll get the exact wording of what you want from viewing the tape. But I open it up to the council's discussion on those questions at this point, sir.
Okay. Do you want some interaction now or work session?
It's up to the council if you would like to email them to me with whether or not, I had said I'd give the council a week and then reintroduce the topic to you all tonight during staff report. Right. If it's easier for you all to email questions to me and then just let me know you'd like them on a list of questions to be asked that evening, or you would like it to go on the application form so you have the chance to review their response before they get in here and maybe address questions to their response.
Well, I actually thought you'd given us a week, or we'd given ourselves a week to do that from the work session last week. So you haven't received anything yet?
No.
From anyone? Okay.
No. But again, we had indicated that we would extend that reminder to the council this evening. So obviously nothing happens until we post up the applications, which is that first week coming up in June. Whatever I receive before then, the council can be assured we'll either have it on the list for you to ask the question that evening, or it will be an addendum page to the application itself where we will ask them the question.
Okay. Does anyone have any input now at this time? Yes, go ahead.
I had suggested a couple at our last work session. And I'm fine with it being either written on the application or asked at the interviews. It's been a while since we've done that, so I don't remember what questions we asked in the past. Is that a list that we've had that every time we have the same ones, or would we potentially have a work session to discuss those questions?
They were actually, the questions that were asked in the past were in response to either what was on the application from the applicants or kind of impromptu from any sort of a response that they gave to one of the questions that was asked.
I think in my mind, I was just thinking like when we do the council forum, where the public gets to hear our answers to several questions that we have to talk on our feet, just like we do in a council meeting sometimes, something like that. But just more, I would really like to either see on paper or have the opportunity to ask that evening some more specific and more in-depth questions than the two very generic ones that were on that application.
They were, I don't know how generic they were pretty broad. There was quite a bit of content to each question that someone could add to that, but did you have something, Mr. Ullman?
Yeah, just kind of dovetailing off what Councilmember Duggalwood said. So if I understand you correctly, Mr. Fearborn, we could ask basically any number of follow-up questions from the dais of the person being interviewed, the candidate, such as I see here, it says that you have leadership experience in this area. Can you expound on that? That's appropriate. Is that what you're saying?
That's what has occurred in the past, sir.
What you're looking for, I think, maybe? So yeah, their application is going to be provided to us, and then we would have that document to be able to purview and then ask questions from that document, I think is what staff is saying. I mean, we could obviously draft some questions as well if we wanted specific questions we wanted to ask the entire group, but that's at least one format for formulating questions of each individual council member should they choose to ask them.
And one of the items that we can do, I'm going to put IT on the spot, they're not even here. We could probably get the minutes, and if there were agreed upon questions of the candidates at the last one, we can get those to the council. My recollection is that it was pretty impromptu, though. They responded to the application, and then the questions that came from the council to the candidates were pretty ad hoc and spontaneous relative to that.
Anyone else? Mr. Townsend, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We'll have approximately 2 weeks with the applicants' packages to kind of review and formulate our questions, or basically, will we have the package before that night interview to review?
You will have the applications on the 19th, which I believe is a Thursday or a Friday. So that the day after this closes, on the Thursday at 5, the council will have a PDF of the packet with all the applications in it on that Friday, and then 2 Mondays from then is when the interviews take place.
So, okay. So we'll have ample time to review and formulate our questions for those impromptu responses and follow-on questions. Okay, thank you.
Has the appeal for the process been made? I mean, when will we actually post it?
It actually posts on Thursday the 3rd.
Okay. And they have how long to respond?
Until they get 14 days.
Okay.
So on the 2 Thursdays from then at 5 o'clock, they have to turn their application in.
Okay, all right. And that's when the council will get the
And then the following Friday, the next day, that Friday,
right.
The packets mail out to the council.
Okay. Any other questions? Anything else in your report?
That's all for staff report, sir.
Okay. Well, we have no committee reports. We'll now move on to the consent agenda. We only have the one item on the consent agenda tonight, and that's the city council minutes for May the 10th. I'd entertain a motion to dispose of that item.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Jacobson.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as submitted, which does include item A, as you said, City Council minutes, May 10th, 2021.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Townsend.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Mr. Barber, discussion.
Yes, it was absence for the May 10th meeting. I read the minutes and watched the meeting, but I will be abstaining because I didn't vote on any of the items
Okay.
on that.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Those opposed? Those abstentions? Motion carries 6 yeses and 1 abstention. Now move on to unfinished business. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3617 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3617 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with J.M. Fahey Construction Company for the 2021 Street Preservation Project, City Project Number 21-376-201, in the amount of $859,320.75, and authorizing the city manager to approve change orders within established budget constraints.
Thank you. I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jacobson.
I move to approve Bill 30, the second reading of Bill 3617, award of contract 2021 street preservation.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Townsend.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3617. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 7-0. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3619 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3619 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, establishing an intergovernmental agreement with the Raymore Peculiar School District to provide school resource officer services for schools in Raymore and the East Middle School.
Thank you. And entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jacobson.
I move to approve the second reading of Bill 3619, agreement with Raymore Peculiar School District for SRO services.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Townsend.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3619. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 7-0. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3620 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3620 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, approving the Eastbrook at Creekmore second plat, located in Section 4, Township 46 North, Range 32 West, Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you. I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jacobson.
I move to approve the second reading of Bill 3620, Eastbrook at Creekmore second final plat.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Townsend.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, sir. The motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3620. Any further discussion? Mr. Barber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wasn't here last week, so I couldn't ask this question, but Mr. Krass, it's my understanding that this will be the first connection of West Creekmore and East Creekmore all the way through to Madison. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 7-0. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3621 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3621 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, approving the venue of the Good Ranch final plat, located in Section 20, Township 46 North, Range 32 West, Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you. I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jacobson.
I move to approve the second reading of Bill 3621, the venue of the Good Ranch final plat.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Townsend.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, sir. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3621. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 7-0. We'll now move on to new business. Could I please have the first reading of Bill 3624 by title only?
The first reading of Bill 3624 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, vacating a portion of a utility easement located on Lot 196 in Edgewater at Creekmore 6th Plat, a subdivision in the City of Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you. This item requires a public hearing. I will open the public hearing at this time and ask for a staff report. Mr. Fearborn.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would ask Ms. Jardu to make a staff report on this agenda item.
Thank you, sir. Council members. Randy Bryant, representing property owner Bryant Ratliff Building and Incorporated is requesting to vacate 15 feet of a 25-foot utility easement in the rear yard of the property located at 1307 Granton Lane. The future homeowner is looking to build a retaining wall that will extend into the rear yard utility easement. There are no existing utilities within the easement, and if approved, there would still be a 10-foot wide easement area for any future utility installations. We've notified all utilities and are waiting to hear back from one of them in the meantime. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Katie. Any questions? As there is a public hearing on this item, the public hearing is open at this time. If anybody from the public would like to address the council on this particular item, please step forward, state your name and address for the record, and try to keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. I see no one advancing toward the podium, so I will close the public hearing at this time, and I would entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jacobson.
I move to approve the first reading of Bill 3624, easement vacation, 1307 Granton Lane.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Townsend.
I second that motion.
Thank you, sir. The motion's been made and seconded to approve the first reading of Bill 3624. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 7-0. Could I please have the first reading of Bill 3623 by title only?
The first reading of Bill 3623 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, approving the Oak Ridge Farms final plat located in Section 15, Township 46 North, Range 32 West, Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you. Is there a staff report on this?
Thank you, sir. I would ask Ms. Chardu to make a staff report on this agenda item.
Thank you, sir. Council members, Sean Siebert, representing Midwest Training and Acquisitions, has filed a request for final plat approval for Oak Ridge Farms. This final plat is an expansion of the existing Oak Ridge Farms subdivision and will include 57 single and two-family developments proposed along Pine Street north of the Ramblewood subdivision. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions, Ms. Chardu? If there are no questions, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jacobson.
I move to approve the first reading of Bill 3623, Oak Ridge Farms final plat.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Townsend.
I second that motion.
Thank you, sir. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the first reading of Bill 3623. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 7-0. Could I please have the first reading of Bill 3622 by title only?
The first reading of Bill 3622 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with TC Fuller Construction, LLC for the Silver Lake Drainage Improvements Project, City Project Number 21-377-201, in the amount of $99,375, and authorizing the city manager to approve change orders within established budget constraints.
Thank you. Is there a staff report?
Thank you, sir. I would ask Mr. Krass to make a staff report on this agenda item.
Thank you, Mr. Fearborn, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. What this project involves, although we call it a Silver Lake drainage improvements, what we're dealing with is a very chronic groundwater problem up on Silver Lake Drive and draining down towards Johnson Drive. There's a number of sump pumps that discharge all year long. Although they discharge in accordance with code, they have started to cause deterioration to our infrastructure due to freeze. They actually discharge in the winter. We've got a lot of freeze thaw, icing along the curb lines. So it's starting to damage the roadway. It's caused significant damage to the Lancaster Silver Lake Drive intersection. So what this project will involve is installing a drain tile behind the curb, connecting those sump pumps, and then connecting the drain tile to a storm sewer system down at Johnson Drive. We're going to be kind of completing this project in two phases. So that's the first phase, to intercept the groundwater. We will then come back as part of our other routine maintenance projects over the summer, the mill and overlay projects and the curb replacement, to replace the curb and to mill and overlay Silver Lake Drive. That concludes. We do recommend award to TC Fuller Construction. That does conclude my staff report.
Thank you, sir. Any questions of Mr. Krass? Yes, Mr. Burke.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Krass, can you describe what the drain tiles, like what are they made of and what they look like? I'm just curious.
Sure, it's a perforated PVC pipe with kind of a nylon sock around it. We're going to be putting in a French drain, if you're familiar with that.
But-
So it'll go behind the curb, and it'll be encased in pea gravel, and then there will be actual connections like you have for your regular sewer connection that we will then intercept the sump pump discharge points and connect those to the drain tile.
What kind of material is on the outside on the drain tiles?
It's a geofabric that's permeable.
Okay, so we're not talking about an actual tile that's going in the curb.
It's behind the curb. It's a pipe behind the curb.
Okay, all right. Oh, all right, I understand now. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Berenson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It looks like, for a lack of a better, looks like it has almost pantyhose over it, something like that. It's like a, maybe not the best term to use, but.
Your term, and I will say
all
it's
right.
fairly accurate,
But it's,
sir.
yeah. Anyway, sorry, I probably shouldn't have said that. Can we strike that from the record, please? I mentioned to Mr. Fieldborn earlier, looking through all the bids on here, you know, if you look at these, the average bid was probably $145,000, $150,000, and I had some concerns because this bid was so low, but Mr. Fieldborn assured me that it came in right around where the engineer expected it to come in at, and they thoroughly checked all the references and everything checked out very well. So thank you, Mr. Fieldborn, and for city staff for doing that, and look forward to seeing this contract go through. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you. If not, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jacobson.
I move to approve the first reading of Bill 3622, award of contract Silver Lake Drainage Improvements.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Townsend.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, sir. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the first reading of Bill 3622. Any further discussion? Mr. Burt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to mention, I know there's a Green Bay Packers fan on that street that'll be very happy, because it usually terminates, the mess is pretty close to his front yard. So I'm sure he'll appreciate it. It's a long time coming.
Packers fan, huh? That may dissuade some votes here, buddy. I'm telling you. I know, right? Mr. Townsend.
So the public works should be wearing Chiefs gear when they're doing it?
Yeah. There you go. If there's nothing further, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 7-0. Could I please have wait a minute. Oh, yep. Could I please have the first reading of Bill 3625 by title only?
The first reading of Bill 3625 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, approving an agreement with the Community Bank of Raymore to provide the city depository services for a 3-year period.
Thank you. Is there a staff report?
Thank you, Your Honor. I would ask Ms. Williams to make a staff report on this agenda item.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Before you this evening for your consideration is the award of contract for depository services for the next 3 years. Staff prepared a request for proposal for providing banking services to the city. The RFP was mailed directly to Cass County institutions and was publicly advertised on the city's website and the city's newspaper of record. Four institutions responded to the RFP. Staff completed an analysis. I haven't practiced that. I still mess it up. An analysis of the proposals. Community Bank of Raymore provided the best proposal. The interest rate floor coupled with the charges, or with no monthly charges for any banking services, nets the greatest earnings for the city. Staff recommends the Community Bank of Raymore continue to be our banking institution. That concludes staff report.
Thank you, Lisa. Any questions? Thank you, ma'am. If there's nothing further, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jacobson.
I move to approve the first reading of Bill 3625, depository agreement.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Townsend.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, sir. Motion been made and seconded to approve the first reading of Bill 3625. Any further discussion? Yes, Mr. Holman.
Yes, sir. Just a comment. I wanted to thank the Community Bank of Raymore. They've had representatives here in the audience, even though their item was the very last one on the agenda for this evening. They've been our institution of choice for quite some time. They've provided good service to the city, been very involved in the community. So in addition to you being glad to have you here tonight, you got to hear some of the things that are going on in our community that we're working on and we're going to be seeing in the future. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Mr. Dugawad.
Jay took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say that too. We appreciate the great partnership that we have with the Community Bank of Raymore, so thank you guys.
I would agree. Mr. Burke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to point out that the bids are not even close. It's not a hard decision at all because they've been so good to us.
True. Mr. Berenson.
Thank you. Well, just to piggyback off of Councilman Burke there, it looks like roughly $1,800 and change in net earnings monthly, and the probably the least favorable bid was costing us $25.63 a month. So that is a big disparity in the bid, and again, that goes to the Bank of Raymore. So thank you very much again for putting the time in and put that bid in for us.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 7-0. Thank you. We'll now move on to public comments. If anybody from the public would like to address the council at this time, please step forward, state your name and address for the record, and keep your comments 5 minutes or less. Seeing no one come forward, move on to mayor-council communication. I'll start with Mr. Barber tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'd like to congratulate our chief of police and her new position as gaming commissioner. I take it you are going to accept that, so you will be one. But congratulations. It just shows the quality of our staff. I know we have quite a few. Mayor, you're involved with many different things, so Councilman Townsend as well. So it just shows the quality of people we have here in Raymore. I also just wanted to just kind of talk about our parks. I made some comments earlier with Nathan, such a great job. I know it's been wet and we haven't had very many dry days, but those days we know will be coming to an end very soon. And so get out and enjoy them, see what we got there. Like I found out this weekend, there's some people that have no idea what we've done to our parks and recs. Get out and take a look at them. It's a great summer to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Ullman.
Thank you, Your Honor. Two things. One, I would note for the record, total audience, general public tonight, if you count the press, 4 people, 2 of which are from Silver Lake. And Joe, I was kind of surprised you didn't catch on that earlier when we were talking about the Silver Lake issue. And then the other thing was, again, I would echo Councilmember Barber's comments, Chief, on the governor's recognition of your exemplary service, both not just here but at Kansas City as well. I am a bit concerned when they say you're going to the Gaming Commission. I have this view of you wearing the trooper uniform and sitting there, and I have to meet you for lunch at one of the boats. I don't know, so I hope that works out. That's all I have, sir.
Mr. Dugawad.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, my visions of Chief were like Ozark. Have you watched Ozark? All the Gaming Commission stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, it's
the
just a show on TV. I just want to take a minute and again repeat an invitation to everyone for the ribbon cutting on Wednesday for the new playground in Spray Park at TB Hanna. And then also a quick shout out to our Raymore Historical Society, who is also doing a ribbon cutting that day at 2 o'clock for their new museum that's just right there beside the park. So if you're not busy on Wednesday afternoon, we have a whole afternoon of events in Old Town Raymore this week. I think that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Berenson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Also very excited to see the opening of the Splash Park and the Farmers Market, and along with everything else that's coming through the Parks Department. Congratulations for the Tree City USA for the 9th year in a row, Mr. Mustine. Happy Arbor Day. Chief, congratulations on appointment to the Gaming Commission. Can you confirm that the large building south of town is in fact going to be a casino, or is it... Am I just spreading rumors? They're going to cut my microphone off any minute now, but yeah. Again, congratulations, Chief. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jacobson?
Thank you, sir. I'm going to echo everything everybody else said. Like I said, we get towards the tail end of these comments, but they're all very good comments. And to the staff, great reports this evening. It was just a fantastic evening to hear everything going on in Raymore, especially as I'm headed out the door. I really enjoyed the ribbon cutting, and I've got my wife and I were there, so we grabbed a couple of complimentary coffee cups. I will tell you, at my new location, there's going to be a room that is dedicated, and I mean this, to Raymore, to the Raymore City Council, and to this. And we've got the blanket, and I've got some coffee cups to go along with it. So, I was kind of dreading this meeting over the last week because it's the last one. It gets a little emotional. I've really enjoyed working here. I've made comments. I've talked with neighbors and told them what a great staff and council and mayor that they have here. I actually got interviewed by the Raymore Journal earlier this week, and they took me on it was about an hour-long interview, and we went back through all the history of my time here, and it made me remember just how great, there were mountains and valleys, but just how great it is now and what a great council we have. So one of the things that came out in that is, what would your recommendation be to the person who replaces you? Of course, you guys are trying to think of questions, well, I'm sure you'll come up with plenty. But I said, my recommendation to the person who comes up here is they have to learn to listen. You just listen. You listen to your fellow council members, your mayor, to the staff, the professionals that you're surrounded with. And if you just take it slow and easy, and you listen, and you listen to their experience, and you listen to their advice, you'll do well. And of course, you listen to your constituents as well. And so that was, if I could relay anything to the next person to come up here, my mantra has always been, I learned this a long time ago, seek to understand. If there's something in front of you that you may initially have not liked, don't come up here with a preconceived notion. There's a reason we have public hearings. There's a reason we listen to staff, and there's a reason we communicate with each other and exchange those things. And the more we do, the more we understand, and the better decisions we make, and the better the city is. And this council does an excellent job of that. It's been my pleasure and honor to serve with each of you, and it's been my pleasure and honor to work with all of you as well. I will be watching on YouTube, and I'm sure there'll be times when I wish I was here, but I want to thank all of you, and I want to thank the residents for the incredibly humbling honor of representing them and being able to be up here and make decisions so that they can go about living their lives in this great city. So thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. You will be missed. Mr. Townsend.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also want to thank Mr. Jacobson for your time with us here on the council and serving Ward 1 as well. You've been a very great source of information and resource of support and helping me understand greater history of Raymore and greater history of Ward 1. And I enjoyed our time, and I'll still be calling you. I'll still be linking up with you to get some input on and some advice. And again, I wish you the best as you move forward and things in life. We'll be in touch. To other items on the agenda this evening, again, also, Chief, congratulations. I don't know if this comes with a Senate confirmation hearing.
It actually does, but not until they go back into session in the fall.
Great. So hopefully it won't be as stressful as mine was, given that's the Gaming Commission. But again, congratulations, well-deserved. Obviously, your reputation precedes you, which honors the distinction of being appointed to that by the governor. So excellent job on that. As well as to the Raymore Parks and Recs Department, again, excellent work, and to the Raymore Arts Commission for all the things that's going on within our community. Unfortunately, I'm kind of double booked on that day. I'm supposed to be in a the KCATA board meetings at that afternoon. It's a pretty heavy docket, and I'll try to make my best because I know I had promised to get wet that day. So even if the ribbon has already been cut, I may just have to run through the water or something like that just to honor my commitment on that. But I apologize if I'm not there at the exact time of the ribbon cutting because of prior commitments. And again, to all the staff for all your support up to this point, Mr. Brennan, on the great work he's been doing with the Parks Department of Sports and all the different leagues and things that are going on. I've seen on Chatter and within my own community about the different opportunities that the kids have and adults to get out and do some things and release some tension, which I need to do. I've had family in town this past week, and I was stretching the limits of my T-shirt for all the food I've been eating, so I need to join in on the fun and loosen some of this weight as we go into the summer months. But again, thank you to all the staff for all their work you do and all the professionals that make this seem easy that we do up here. But again, thanks to everyone. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Burke.
Thank you, Your Honor. Wanted to take this time to congratulate all the graduates of Peck this week and Belton or any of the high schools. It's been a very trying year for every student in America and also their teachers. But they did a real nice job this year. It was one of the lowest amounts of discipline in my entire career that I've ever seen. The kids really pulled their own weight and took care of each other, and it was really good. And the other thing I would say, to switch gears, talking about the appointments, the last time that we had interviews, I believe this is the last time we did it, all three people that applied and we interviewed, all three of them have been on council since then. And so it's definitely important as we go through the process to ask them, are you going to be willing to read this packet? Because there are a couple of us up here that are teachers, and we can tell when you don't read the packet before the meeting by the questions that you ask. Just like in class, you can tell the kid that didn't do his homework, but he wants to ask a lot of questions and look like he did, and you can tell that they didn't. But that's a challenge to them, is just to read every packet. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And kind of sum it all up, thanks, Mrs. Belwad, for talking about the ribbon cutting or grand opening for our park that's coming up, and congrats to the Parks Department for everything they've got going on, and the Arts Department as well, and all the activities that they've planned for the summer. The summer's going to be awesome around here, if it ever gets here. But anyway, it is it's an exciting time. Congrats to the chief. That is a pretty cool appointment. I got appointed years ago to the Post Commission and thought that was a big deal. I think the Gaming Commission's even bigger than that. So congrats on that. And I know you've got a lot of other stuff on your plate too, so we appreciate you representing us the way that you do. And thank you to Joe for bringing up the graduates. Congrats to the graduates of both high schools here in our area. Pretty excited about that. I went to my granddaughter's graduation yesterday down in Crest Ridge, which is in Centerview. Little 40-member graduating class, but when you sit in those graduating classes, they pretty much give from kindergarten through 12th grade, talking about the kids, and it is kind of neat to see it made that personal for them as they move forward in life. But congrats to our graduates. And Dale, last off, you're going to be missed, buddy. I'm truly going to miss you. You've got whoever gets into your spot's got some big shoes to fill. Your wealth of information and common sense that you brought to this council has been awesome. And I know your experience here with the council in the last 20 years, off and on, has been part of that you've been able to refer back to in order to make the decisions that you've made. Hopefully staff has made it easy for you. We've got a wonderful staff here, and that is kind of what makes our jobs a lot easier up here, that's for sure. With that, I don't think we have anything else. We have no need to move into executive session tonight, is that correct?
That is correct, sir. We understand that the problem is going to alleviate itself tomorrow.
Thank you. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Jacobson?
I move we adjourn the City Council meeting for May 24th, 2021.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn from this session.